With the invoices that we processed, those have been routed into our AP automation tool. So now let's take a look at how Datahaven can streamline that process. Now, a challenge for a lot of AP teams is making sure that invoices get routed into the system and approved in a timely manner to make sure that they can take advantage of any early payment discounts. Also, there's a lot of time that's spent trying to validate information and performing three-way matches. Datahaven has a solution for that. With our AP automation solution, we can take those invoices that just came from the classification tool and route them through a process to perform an automated three-way match. And if you have any non-PO invoices, we're going to be able to process those with no keying in of the information. As you can see on your screen right now, Datahaven's AP automation tool is embedded within Business Central. One of my favorite things about this screen is the fact that you can see right from here the status of all of these invoices. I can see we've got a complete match, we've got some awaiting receiving, we've even got a mismatch that have been loaded into the verify panel. So let's go ahead and start the process. Now, the very first invoice that we're going to be processing is what we're all looking for. This is when you have a PO-based invoice that comes in and everything matches perfectly. Datahaven will display the invoice image on the left-hand side, the information that was extracted in the center, and on the right-hand side is where we're going to verify the information. Now, I do want to highlight in the center section, with AI, it is changing the game. In the past, we've had to go through and fingerprint every single vendor invoice to identify where the fields were. And that was something that needed to be done for every single vendor. Now with AI, it learns across all of your vendors. And as you can see here, this invoice, all the fields were automatically validated. That's what this green lightning bolt means. Let's move on to the validation. So on the right-hand side of your screen, we can see that this is a PO-based invoice. It's in OCR. There are no exceptions. And that's as we go down, we can see that the total of the PO is close to $19,000, but we've only received about $9,500. As I go down, there are 50 items on the PO, but we've only received 35. So Datahaven is able to identify that this is a partial invoice. So we've only received a subset of the goods. At the very bottom, you can see that there's no difference. So the AP team can actually go ahead and post these items on the PO and move this along for payment. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the submit and post. And now we can see that this has actually created a posted invoice 109279. And we're going to actually show that a little bit later on. So we're going to actually move on to the next invoice that we're processing. And this is actually an invoice for the second half of those items. Now you can see, once again, we've got the invoice. The information's automatically been validated. Currently, this has a status of a mismatch because it's showing that we're awaiting receiving. If we look at the various totals, you can see that they're all blank because we haven't received anything yet. On the right-hand side, we still have access to the Datahaven folder structure to see all of our supporting documents. So I can actually drill down and see the packing slip that's arrived for this transaction. Now, Datahaven is constantly aware of what's going on in Business Central. So I'm actually going to launch the PO, receive the goods, so you can actually see that the verify panel is going to realize that and go directly from awaiting receiving to a complete match. So we can see we've got the two items that are marked to receive. I'm going to go ahead and receive them. And we'll go back to the Datahaven Verify panel. And if we look at the bottom, now you can see that this invoice is a complete match against the purchase order and the receipts. I'm going to once again mark this to be posted. And we'll move on to some exceptions. Now, one of the most common exceptions that we hear from our customers is when the invoice comes in and it's got a freight charge on it that was not on the purchase order. This is an example of that. Once again, we can go through. Datahaven has identified this as a mismatch. If we look in the bottom corner, we can see that this is missing freight. Now, different companies do different things. You can either have this invoice routed back to the purchasing team for someone to approve the freight charge, but if it falls within a certain tolerance, in this case, $10.58, what we want to do is allow the AP team to add a charge item to the PO so that this becomes a complete match. So I'm going to go ahead with a single click of a button. Datahaven's going to add a charge item for the freight charge. And when I do that, this invoice is now a complete match. So we've been able to handle this exception in a matter of seconds. So let's go ahead and finalize this process. Now that we've processed all of the PO-based invoices, let's take a quick look at some of the final results. To begin, let's start with that perfect match PO-based invoice that we processed. Here we can see the invoice for the posted purchase invoice for Progressive Home Furnishing. We've got the 2 line items that were processed on the first invoice. On the right-hand side, we've got Datahaven's folder structure with all of the supporting information stored in an organized manner, where we can see everything from the posted purchase or the vendor invoice that was attached, the packing slip, all of our supporting documents, the vendor acknowledgement. We can also drill down if you need to reference anything that's on the vendor card. All of that information is available directly from this screen. Datahaven also, as I mentioned, has various status views for users to be able to quickly see, for example, all documents that are in awaiting receiving status. So if I go into my status views, I'm going to simply click on awaiting receiving. And here we have a list of all current purchase orders where we are awaiting receiving of the goods from the vendor. So Datahaven does have several views to help you be able to quickly navigate between invoices that are awaiting receiving, those ones which are posted pending payment. All of those can be seen with the click of a button. So as we've just seen, Datahaven eliminates the need to perform tedious 3-way matches. With Datahaven's AI tool, we're going to perform all of that programmatically in the background and just present users with exceptions for them to be able to research quickly. This ensures that all invoices are processed in a manner that's going to ensure early payment discounts can be met. If you'd like more information, please reach out to the Datahaven team. We'd be happy to show you a deep dive into the software and learn about your requirements.